Hey friends, happy Monday and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner, and happy Labor Day. I hope you all have had a great long weekend. To those of you that get Monday off, today I have our What's for Dinner to share with you. Share these every week if you don't know, and I have a whole playlist of almost 400 videos. So if you need more meal ideas, you can find my playlist linked down below. I've been doing this since 2018. It's a really long time, and I've uploaded pretty much every single week. This week I have some pretty easy stuff to share with you. I also tried 3 new things in the Instant Pot. So let's go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. Friday night, I tried a chicken feta pasta in the Instant Pot. This is my first time making this recipe. I have made the TikTok feta pasta in the oven. I usually serve it with chicken on the side. This is just supposed to be a variation of that. It did not, the recipe that I'm following did not call for chicken. It said you could add chicken. I decided to go ahead and cook up some chicken breast that I diced up, and I seasoned it all over with some Italian seasoning and garlic powder and onion powder and salt and pepper. And I started cooking that up in my Instant Pot on the saute function. And then once it was done, I added about a tablespoon of the jarred minced garlic and let that cook for about another minute. And then I'm adding in a whole little container of grape tomatoes. And then I couldn't find any fresh basil because Aldi doesn't usually have it, but I have this basil paste. So I added some of that in, along with some garlic powder, onion powder, some more pepper, and Italian seasoning. And then I didn't do any salt because I'm using the Knorr chicken bouillon instead of chicken broth, and it's kind of salty. So I added some of that in, and then I added in my water. The recipe called for 3 cups of water, so I started with that. And then to me, it just didn't look like enough water. So I ended up adding in another cup of water, because usually when I cook pasta in the Instant Pot, I do equal cups water and pasta. So I added in a little bit more water. I added in my box of penne pasta. At this point, you don't want to stir it, but you do want to push that pasta down into the liquid. And then I added in a block of feta cheese right to the top. Then I put the Instant Pot lid on this, set it to sealing, and cooked this for 4 minutes. After 4 minutes, I did a quick release, and then once all the pressure was released, I took off the lid and gave this a good stir. It does look pretty watery at first, but you can turn the saute function back on and let it simmer and it'll start to thicken up, or you can just let it sit for about 5 minutes and it'll thicken up. So I just waited 5 minutes and it thickened up really nicely, and then I just plated this up. You got tomatoes in there, chicken, and feta cheese, and it's just so creamy and delicious. If you already like feta cheese, or you like the TikTok baked feta pasta, I say give this one a try if you have an Instant Pot, because it was just very quick and easy and super good. Saturday is a repeat meal for us. This is garlic butter, steak and potatoes in the crock pot. So I'm starting off by adding my little baby potatoes to the crock pot. I like these because they're already washed and you don't have to cut them. If you use bigger potatoes, you have to wash them and cut them. So this just makes it super easy. And then I'm adding in some stew meat and then a bunch of jarred minced garlic, and then you can do whatever seasonings you want. I am doing some of the Aldi brand steak seasoning. It's like the McCormick, Montreal steak. It's very similar to that. So I added in a bunch of that, and then a whole stick of butter that I chopped up. And then all you got to do is put a lid on this and let it cook on low for 6 to 8 hours, or high for about 4. I think I ended up doing low this time, but I have done high in the past. And then you've got these buttery, garlicky potatoes and steak. And then I serve this with some canned green beans because that's what my family likes. If your family likes fresh green beans, I really think that they would be good just added in there with the potatoes and steak and cooking in there with them. We just really don't like the texture of fresh green beans, no matter how they're cooked. Most of my family just does not enjoy them. I enjoy them some, but I'm not going to make it just for myself. So yeah, definitely recommend this recipe. I think this is the second or third time we've made it, and we always enjoy it. Sunday night we had teriyaki chicken and fried rice. I just really wanted some teriyaki chicken tenders that were low effort. So I had this Panda Express teriyaki sauce in the fridge. I added the rest of that bottle to my Instant Pot along with my chicken tenderloins, and then I added some water to that bottle because it was basically gone. Shook it up, got out any rest of the sauce. I filled it up probably about halfway, and then I'm also adding in some Knorr chicken bouillon, kind of turn that into chicken broth, and then I added in some garlic powder, stirred that all around. Put the lid on this and let this cook for 10 minutes on high pressure, and then let it do a natural release for about 5 minutes, and then did a quick release to release any of the remaining pressure. And then here they are swimming in sauce. You could put some cornstarch in this or something and thicken it up. I did not end up doing that. The chicken soaked up so much of it. It really cooked in that teriyaki flavor, so I didn't feel like it needed more sauce over the top, but you could definitely do that. And then I served this with some fried rice. I made it the same way I always make it. I will have a video linked down below for that if you have not seen that before. Monday night, I tried a new pork chop recipe. I had seen this, I think, on Facebook, and it was so easy. I just kind of remembered it, and it just kind of stuck in my head. So what you need is a cup of Italian seasoned breadcrumbs. If you don't have Italian seasoned, you just make sure that you add Italian seasoning and whatever else you want to add to it to make them seasoned. And then you're also doing a cup of Parmesan cheese. You could do the green shaky bottle kind, or I am doing freshly grated Parmesan cheese because I had it. And then you can add some seasonings. I added in some garlic powder and pepper. I didn't do any salt because Parmesan cheese is pretty salty, so I didn't do that. And then I just mixed everything up. Then I've got 4 pork chops here. These are really thick cut pork chops. I think that this recipe with the breadcrumbs and cheese could definitely do more pork chops, because I had some left over, even though what I saw on Facebook was for 4 thick cut pork chops. I don't know, but I ended up having a lot of extra breading, and I hate that because I hate wasting breading. But I honestly think you could get away with having this and doing half a cup of Parmesan cheese and half a cup of breadcrumbs for 4 thick cut pork chops. Or if you wanted to cut your pork chops in half and make them thinner, I think that it would work well to have 8 thinner pork chops. You just want to cook them for less time. But I have gone ahead and sprayed these pork chops with some olive oil cooking spray, and then I am just coating them all over with that breadcrumb and Parmesan cheese mixture. And then these are going to go in the oven on 375 for about 40 minutes because of how thick they are. I think I checked them at 30 minutes to see what the temperature was, and they weren't done yet, so I gave them another 10 minutes. And at the very end, I ended up broiling them as well to get the tops nice and crispy. Next, I am moving on to my garlic Parmesan potato wedges that I'm going to be making to go on the side of our pork chops. I used to make this recipe all the time. We absolutely love it. I have started off by cleaning and cutting up about 3 or 4 large russet potatoes, and I slice them into wedges. I've got them in a bowl, and I'm going to drizzle them with some olive oil, season them with some salt, garlic powder, and Italian seasoning, and then I put on some freshly shredded Parmesan cheese, about half a cup. Make sure everything is coated really well, and then I'm going to transfer them to a foil-lined baking sheet for easy cleanup. And you just want to make sure you spread these out into one nice flat even layer. Nobody's stacked on top of each other. That way everybody can get crispy. And then these went in the oven for about 35 minutes till they were tender and crispy. And again, I broiled these as well as the pork chops, just for 3 to 5 minutes until they got really brown and crispy on top. To go with this, I made some squash and zucchini in the air fryer, and everything for this meal was really good. I will definitely make the pork chops again. As I said, I made those potatoes many times. This was such a delicious meal and probably one of my favorites of the week. Tuesday night, we just had nachos. I cooked up some ground beef. I pulled some nacho cheese out of the freezer and heated that up. I made some black beans. We've got lettuce, Taco Bell sauce, some chunky salsa, sour cream, guacamole, and just my family loves nachos. I think that they would eat them every single week, if not multiple times a week, if I made them. It's definitely one of those quick and easy like go-to dinners that I keep coming back to. BLTs are another meal that we come back to pretty often, especially in the spring and summer. I feel like we've eaten them a lot this year because I have not felt like being in the kitchen. And I planned ahead this day. I like to make my bacon in the oven. I made it earlier in the day before it got too hot. And then all we had to do at dinner time was cut up a tomato, cut up some lettuce, and toast some bread. And then we had some chips on the side and some pineapple that I cut up. And BLTs will always be one of my favorites go-to summery meals. And finally, for the last meal of the week, I made some air fryer chicken legs and then some broccoli mac and cheese in the Instant Pot. So I'm starting off here with my chicken legs. I've got them on my air fryer basket. I patted them dry really well, and then I sprayed them all over with some olive oil cooking spray. And then I'm going to season them all over with some onion salt, lemon pepper, Italian seasoning, garlic powder, smoked paprika, and I think I said it all. You can really season them with whatever you like, and I just do that on all sides. And then these went in the air fryer on 350 for about 15 minutes, and then I flipped them over and did them again on 350 for about 15 minutes, and then I flipped them back over and turned the heat up to 400 and cooked them for another 5 to 10 minutes until they were cooked all the way through and they were as crispy as I wanted them to be. I wanted that skin to get really nice and crispy. Next up, I am making my broccoli mac and cheese in the Instant Pot. I will have a recipe for this link down below, but I did change it just a little bit. I'm starting off here by adding 3 tablespoons of butter to my Instant Pot, along with 1 pound of rotini pasta and 4.5 cups of water, and then some Knorr chicken bouillon. The recipe just called for salt, but I thought some chicken broth would be better. And I gave that all a good stir, and then I'm adding on 1 bag of frozen broccoli. The original recipe wanted you to use fresh broccoli later in the recipe, but I really like frozen broccoli and thought steaming it with the pasta was a good idea. So then I put a lid on this and put this on manual high pressure for 5 minutes, and then when it was done cooking, I did a quick release, and then once all of that pressure was released, I took off the lid and turned this on the saute function and started adding in the rest of my ingredients. So I'm going to be adding in some seasoning. I did some garlic powder and some pepper and some onion powder, and then I added in a little bit of Dijon mustard. The recipe called for about a teaspoon. I think I did just a touch more. The recipe also called for 1 5-ounce can of evaporated milk. I left that out because I realized all I had was large cans of evaporated milk and I didn't want to waste it. So I just did a little bit more half and half because the recipe called for 1 cup of half and half. So I just did a little bit more of that instead of also doing evaporated milk. And then I added in a bunch of cheese. I had this mac and cheese blend from Aldi, so I added that in, and then I also added in some other shredded cheese and just continued to mix this until everything was melted and combined really well. And it looks kind of thin, but as the cheese melts and it sits a little bit, it does start to thicken up. I turned off the heat and let it sit for maybe 5 minutes, and it got nice and thick, and we just had this on the side of our chicken, and it was delicious. Everybody loved this broccoli mac and cheese, and it was perfect to go with the chicken legs. It was simple. You've got carb, you've got veggie in it, And then we've got our protein with our chicken. And yeah, we will definitely make this Instant Pot broccoli mac and cheese recipe again. As always, any recipes that I mention are going to be linked in the description box down below, so you guys can head down there and check that out. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys plan on trying any of these recipes that I mentioned today, and leave me a smiley face emoji down in the comments as well to let me know that you made it here all the way to the end. I hope y'all have a great upcoming week, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!